Geared Up North, your compass in the wilderness. We're passionate outdoorsmen turned gear gurus on a mission to equip you with tools, insights, and camaraderie to conquer the great outdoors. From North America's hunting fields and icy waterways, join us for gear reviews, tips, and lessons learned. Welcome to Geared Up North.
Oh! Martin here on Geared Up North, the host tonight. We're sitting down with Gunnar as part of the four-part Rutation Station series from Geared Up North. We're going to kind of do a quick intro on Gunnar and his very interesting history, and then a little bit on how he got into the outdoor space. Gunnar, you got the show.
All right, guys. Nice to meet you. I'm Gunnar Emberg. I go by the Hungry Huntsman. I am a traveling private wild game chef throughout the U.S. I'll go into Canada and stuff like that too. I specialize in deer processing, specialize in wild game cooking, butchering, extended trips, extended wilderness trips where I'm not seeing pavement for, 5-7 days at a time, stuff like that. That's kind of what I do now. I also have a hand in Timber Ninja Outdoors. We're restarting that, relaunching that after the hurricane and everything. But yeah, man, like I got into hunting really in one of the best states you possibly could in Pennsylvania here. And we just have such a diverse amount of terrain here, such a vast wilderness area here, and there's so many hunters here to learn from that this is kind of what a lot of kids in the state get roped into. Unless you're from Pittsburgh or Philly or one of the major city areas, oftentimes someone in your family hunts or you hunt, and I just happen to grow up in that similar style of family, essentially. So we've had a hunting camp in my family for 76 years now, 76, 77. We go there opening day rifle every year. That's pretty much all I hunted growing up too, was just opening day rifle. I never really got too crazy into a lot like turkey or archery hunting or anything throughout my childhood and high school. So it was very limited exposure in hunting, but it was also ingrained in my life, but I didn't know it yet until, fast forward through high school. I joined the Navy right after high school, left 3 weeks after I graduated to join the Navy as a corpsman, which is a medic. Was doing that, and my boss actually was a hunter from Mississippi, and he was just hit me up the one day. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go to the bow shop today?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I have some money on me." So I went and I bought my first bow with that guy, and that really started this path right now, man.
So I'm very similar to you. I didn't really get that into it aside from like opening weekend of Gun. So
hmm
was that kind of your big turning point? That was kind of the aha moment that really like did the deep dive into the hunting and fishing and the whole outdoor space? Was that experience at the bow shop, or was that just kind of the beginning of the catalyst?
No, I'd say that was kind of the beginning there because that's where I started looking at how do I put it? I don't like to just buy my stuff off the shelf. Like I want to know what it's about. I want to learn it. I want to learn how to use it. And if I can improve it, I want to improve it. So I started looking at building arrows and, just really becoming a good archer compared to just, hey, let me go grab a dozen arrows and let me just go have this guy tune my bow. And once I started doing that was just the rabbit hole that I fell down, and I still haven't climbed my way out of that one yet.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So mainly it was you just did opening weekend of Gun. You didn't do anything else. No turkey, no waterfowl, no squirrel hunting. It was just pretty much predominantly that opening weekend of Gun, and that was it.
Yep, I'd hunt maybe 1 or 2 days. There'd be the off chance where we'd have family staying up at camp a couple extra days, and I may stay, like I think I stayed up 1 or 2 extra times. Never really turkey hunted. I remember turkey hunting once or twice, pheasant hunting once or twice. Just nothing too crazy.
Got it. So then once you bought that, was it just a regular compound, a used bow, recurve?
No, yeah. So it was a Mission Ballistic back when they first came out in like 2014, 2013 time frame. I want to say it was 2013, like summer of 2013 is when I got that bow. Um, that was the first one. Did some research on it, and back then, I don't know how they are now. I assume it's still the same, but back then, Mission was just the poor man's version of a Matthews bow. Matthews made them, and all of the components on Matthews bows that were aluminum were plastic on the Mission bows, and that's how they were able to cheapen the price point. Granted, that caused some variance issues for like how accurate they could be consistently and stuff like that, but for a half price bow, you're getting a phenomenal shooting bow. So that's the one I went with, was that Mission Ballistic, and it was brand new off the shelf. I think out the door total with sight, rest, arrows, everything, like it was under $1,000, and like you can't even look at a bow for $1,000 anymore, you know?
No, you're not gonna. I mean, you might be able to, but it's not gonna be anything halfway decent. It's gonna be the
Mm-mm,
bottom of the barrel for sure. So
exactly.
from there, did that go with you as you were still in the Navy? Kind of, where did that go from there?
Yeah, so my first experience archery hunting was actually Illinois. That's where I was stationed when I bought that bow. And we were hunting this 100-acre farm that I'm almost positive, I think we had 45 different guys that were signed up to hunt this 100-acre farm. Yeah. And
Packing like
here,
sardine cans in a 100-acre parcel. Holy crap!
oh, dude, and now here's the thing, right? 50 acres of it was a giant soybean field, right? So it was minimal actual timber on there, but it was all very young forest in between two highways in Illinois. Actually, you probably know exactly where it is. I'll tell you after this. You'll know exactly the farm. It's on 41, coming right over the border, actually.
Oh yeah, I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking
right by the
about.
Shanty restaurant there. Yep.
Yep.
So we were hunting that, and now mind you, 50 acres of it is a giant field. Well, the other is very young, thick, like you can't walk through it, thick forest. So it was almost impossible to hunt this thing. Like it was, I shot one deer out of it, and I'm pretty sure someone took it that night. Like before I could even get to it, somebody had drug it out of the field basically before I got to it. I'm pretty sure. But that opened up the kind of archery wormhole right there, is learning how to hunt that. And then I was just like, man, if I can hunt this, I can hunt whatever else I want, you know? So from there, we kind of started looking at where can we go that isn't a tuna can full of hunters right now. And there was a little state park on the western side of Chicago that we would go to that we had to show up at like 3 a.m. You had to be one of 29 hunters to sign in, and you got assigned to a basically a tree stand or an area that you could go hunt. So we started doing that. Shot a couple deer out of there, and then towards the end of my Navy career, I ended up um, laying down the bow for a little bit. Ended up dislocating my shoulder and tearing a bunch of stuff. So I did an archery hunt for about 2 years towards the end of it. Just got super busy getting out, having surgery and stuff like that. So
Once you got out, what did you transition to next? Did you just kind of like pick up some trade job or work some factory job?
yeah, no man. So we tried the whole go to college, get a degree thing because you're supposed to have a good paying job on the outside of that, and that did not work out. So ended up going for environmental science to Penn State. Left that just because there was way too much. Like 24-year-old military medic at this point. I don't need 4 years of college because they decided to accept 2 credits out of my hundred and some on from the Navy that like I don't need to be doing a 4-year degree. I'll figure this out. So I transferred into a 2-year wildlife degree out of Penn State after that. That was just a lot easier, and I knew that hey, I don't need to fully utilize my degree for what I want to end up doing, right? Ended up graduating and going into forestry because turns out during wildlife college I ended up hating wildlife techniques. A lot of my morals and ethics are very strong for me, and a lot of it is let nature kind of just be nature for most of it, right? So a lot of the wildlife techniques, like for deer specifically, right? Like they would bait them into this fence, you'd have to go in and tackle them and put a sock over their head to calm them down so they couldn't see, so then you could put a collar on them or get whatever measurements you needed to off of them. Now, meanwhile, that deer is just there. not sure if it's going to die right now or not, and it has no control over it, So for me, I'm just not a big fan of doing stuff like that. So I wanted to go into forestry so that way I could still be in the outdoor space, but still have an impact on wildlife by creating habitat or learning how to manage it better to help
Yeah,
increase
a little bit more
populations.
less invasive than just kind of the
Yeah.
however you want
Yep.
to label the tactics that they use. But then again, there's really not a great way to do it unless you're using some sort of tranquilizer to kind of put them to sleep.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just a lot of money comes in at that point, and it's just a whole big gambit of, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Is this the right way to do it? Who's funding it and all that? So, but when I got into forestry, worked private for a little bit, and then I ended up going back to the feds with the Forest Service. Turned out I did not want to work for the government ever again. That was a big mistake, and I learned that in the Navy. And after about 2 months with the Forest Service, I was like, yeah, I'm done here. We can't do this with these guys. So I ended up going to a brewery after that, actually. Because I was like, hey, tried it in forestry, whatever right now, just take this job. It's closer, pays better for now. I'll just do this for a little bit. Still, this whole time, still hunting, still being me, still just loving the outdoors and everything. And really, once I got into the brewery, that's where I was like, oh, now I have real free time where I'm not in the woods. Like, I missed the woods. So I just had that calling to go out and just be in the woods all the time. And like, even through college and like through working and stuff, I would hunt every single day of archery. Even if it was only an hour to an hour and a half for a sit, I'd still hunt it. Like I think this will be my 5th or 6th year running now where I rarely miss a day. Like I'll miss 1 or 2 days, um, per season, but that's like out of my control kind of. But outside of that, like I hunt almost every single day, right?
Damn, that's pretty impressive. So are you in a like a pretty densely populated area of Pennsylvania or less or like more of a rural area?
I'm in a very, very rural area. It does have a okay-ish population for this area compared to other parts of PA. But I'm also in a national forest. Like PA has several million acres of public land here, so we do have quite a bit of vast space throughout the area. So like, I don't have a neighbor for 800 yards, but I live technically in a town of 2,000 people.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kind of that best of both worlds where you do have neighbors, but they're not on top of you like a
yeah,
metropolitan person like myself.
yep, yeah. Like I can be to the grocery store in 15 minutes, like if I need milk or something. But then again, that's also 15 miles outside of town into the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Do you have any cool stories from your time when you were in the Navy?
Oh man, it depends on what you define as cool. I have a lot of grotesque ones just from
You
being a
define
medic.
whatever you think is cool. I'd like to hear one story because I know I've had two family members who were in the armed forces, and some of the stories of the interesting stuff they do after hours is pretty fun.
Oh man, it wouldn't even be stories from me. Like there's the amount of alcohol that gets consumed in the military is bar none very impressive, right? Um, like, dude, I've seen Marines try to screw raccoons out of a dumpster. Like, I've seen, like, I had to treat that guy for rabies. I've had just so many grotesque, like, medical things come up, or just like, m- essentially, it's all due to the Marines too. Because so the Marines, the Navy medics are the medics for the Marines because essentially we say that they're too dumb to have their own medics, right? In reality, it's just that the Navy medics are probably the best ones out of all the branches. So the Marines are just like, hey, we're going to use them. We like them better. Um, so we basically babysit them a lot because we're the ones that take care of them when they get hurt and stuff. So I've seen them, like, I've seen chicken fights in dumpsters. I've seen like chicken fights in Lake Michigan down there with garbage floating around us. Like, I've seen some, dude, I personally drank my appendix into a coma and had to have it like surgically taken out 2 days after Christmas because I got that drunk with it. Um, it's just, it's wild stuff, man. I can't even bring up like a specific, I'm trying to think of a good, like either hunting story or medical story and nothing that's like PG-13 rated. Everything's kind of R rated right now.
Yeah. only
Yeah,
imagine. So
yeah.
within now that you've got a little bit more time in the outdoor space, I know we kind of focused on bow hunting. Did you do anything else like pheasant hunting, trout fishing?
So I'll dabble here and there. Like I'll do a little bit of small game. I'll do some pheasant. I'll do some turkey as well. For some reason, I can't fish. Not that I don't have the ability to, just my mind, for some reason, I can't do it. I always say that I don't have the patience to do it, but yet I have the patience to sit in a tree stand for 14 hours, you know? I don't know why. I think it's instant gratification thing. Like I expect every time I pull that hook in for there to be a fish, and when it doesn't happen for the 30th time in a row, I'm like, all right, well, I'm done with this. I'm bored now, you know? But no, like I'll just mainly deer hunt. Like I said, I'll do a little bit of pheasant, a little bit of small game. Really, I use other types of hunting to break it up for me when I'm sick of deer hunting for a little bit. Like if I'm just like, man, I've been going hard the last 4 or 5 days, I'm just gonna go take a walk with the shotgun through a pheasant field this morning. You know, take it easy, give myself a break, but still try to bring some food home for the family.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I know earlier in the beginning of the episode you talked about that you do wild game cooking or stuff like that. So how did you transition from being a medic who saves people or helps the drunk Marines get back to life to getting into the outdoor cooking space?
Yeah, man. So it's weird, like it started in my childhood, right? Um, how I got into cooking was that my dad didn't want me to watch cartoons growing up, so I watched Food Network basically. So my head is just years and years and years of that TV station on repeat. So it's just a big encyclopedia of food knowledge right now, right? So when I got into the Navy, I naturally had to learn to cook for myself because the Navy food was just absolutely horrendous, right? And being a medic too, I was getting into more of the nutrition and fitness side of things because I had to learn that. So I got into strongman and powerlifting. So I got into eating chicken and rice 8 times a day and just learning, you know, and then we got into keto and learning all these different recipes and stuff like that. So just furthering my skills without an actual point in doing it though, just because I like to cook, you know. Um, Once I got out, moved in with my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, but I was just the one that cooked in the house just because I was the better cook essentially, and I liked doing it, you know. So ended up when I got this brewery job, I had a buddy there who he was a competition barbecue guy, and he kind of taught me the ways from going from, hey, here's your plate of dinner that you cook to now, here's how you can make that for 50 people. Here's how you scale all your recipes, right? So I was like, oh, that's super easy. It's just math and then buy it and build in some more time to cook everything, you know? So then,
You're just adding more volume to the time to
yep,
do XYZ. It's
yep,
just a bigger
exactly.
math equation.
Yep, exactly. It's just a new system that I'm doing and it's nothing different, you know? So started doing a little bit of that here and there, like friends and family. I'd have like 10 or 12 people, nothing crazy, but I just like doing it. And then Bo Martonic from East Meets West, he ended up having a scouting camp that was local to me. I think it was 3, 4 years ago. And I knew of Bo at the time, like him and I hunted the same, like similar areas and stuff. So I just reached out and I was like, hey, dude, like I see you're not having lunch. Let me just come cook. Like you don't even have to pay me. Just pay for the food. Like I just want to be there, you know? And he took me up on the offer, let me cook dinner for the guys, for all the instructors too. And dude, I walked out of there and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like I want to cook wild game because I'm a hunter and I want to do it in the hunting industry. So I went back to the brewery and I was like, hey, listen, either I quit or you let me be the chef at the tap room. And I was head of logistics at the time and they didn't want to lose me, so I ended up having to quit. I wasn't able to go to the tap room and cook, but I took that in stride and I used it as a really smart decision and I went to be a butcher after that. So that way I could further my skills and what I can offer my clients in terms of, hey, not only can I cook and I can hunt, I can butcher it and process it for you too. I can be a complete package here, you know. Did that for a year and then just after like I was doing gigs here and there through that, did some with Bo and Spartan Forge and stuff, and then after I got done with that, I was like, this is what I'm doing. I've been full time ever since, just traveling and cooking now.
How long have you been doing that full time or part
About
time or just kind of
yep, about 2 years now.
okay? Do you have any favorite recipes, or is it kind of you're just using that years and years and years of background noise on the TV to just kind of come up with something outside the box?
I have favorite recipes and go-tos and flavors that I like that are different enough to where they're very impressive and I know how to build them quickly. So use those in a lot of my dishes, but I like everything I do is custom to the client too. Because a lot of time, like I work with very high net worth individuals too, so this is very, very like kind of five-star type of stuff that I do. So I really try to cater towards them and like I'll do absolutely wild stuff. I did a dessert this May for a fishing trip where oh, what was I doing? I did this nice chocolate soil, which chocolate soil is just cocoa powder and some sugar basically melted and mixed together a certain way. Um to get it to where it'll crumble into a nice crumbly like soil and you coat it up with more cocoa powder and stuff. But did that and then I made a strawberry caviar to where I put it I bought power bait salmon eggs, right? And I emptied those jars out and I cleaned them all out and I filled those jars back up with this little strawberry caviar that I had made because I know it looked identical to it. And I had done that table side to where I pulled the faux salmon eggs out of the fridge, cracked them open table side and topped their dessert with them and stuff. So I like to mess with the guys like that because it's all custom to what I do, but I do have flavors that I do like to build in to my stuff.
Kind of creating these new recipes, do you start with like the meat or the base or the spices, or do you just kind of think of the end goal and just kind of navigate your way through to get to that end
Yep.
point?
It depends on the protein I'm working with. So with the nutrition background I have, all of my meals tend to be protein focused. Just because too, a lot of these guys that I'm cooking for, they're athletes in their own regard in the sense that we're hunting all the time, right? So we need a good level of fuel in our body with correct macros and correct nutrients in it to really sustain and make everything easier. Um, so I really try to focus everything around my protein. So if it's something I haven't cooked before, I will find a recipe for it and how to cook it, and then I'll make a variation in my own style to that, right? Like in May, I was handed some fresh flounder, and I'd never cooked fresh flounder in my life, but I was like, man, what do I want to do with this? Because I'm doing taco night tonight. So I knew I needed to make a taco with it somehow, but I'm also never cooked it, so I knew I needed to make it good and not overcook it for my first time either. So I ended up just doing a little bit of looking at it, like online, just some techniques that people do, and then I figured out, oh, I'm going to like season this really nice and pan sear it super hard, build some flavor, and then I'm gonna poach it in a jalapeno cream sauce. And that'll keep it nice and flaky, that'll keep it nice and moist so I won't dry it out or anything. But it's gonna be great. And for my first time ever cooking flounder down there, like the guys that live down there, they were like, dude, this is the best flounder I've ever had in my life. And it wasn't that I'm this great magical cook, it's just that I knew my end goal of here's how I need it to taste, here's how I need it to eat, here's how I need it to like look and everything. I know how to get there, I just have to get there and do it the right way.
That makes
Yep.
complete sense because you're kind of thinking of like the solution at the end, and you're thinking of all the problems you're going to have to get to that point by adjusting. Okay, cool. Well, we need to pan sear this for about 10 minutes before we poach it on both sides to make sure that we get that black texture, but we're not losing the moisture on the inside. But then
Yep.
we'll be able to cook it the rest of the way by putting it in that sauce, which is also going to get a bit of flavor because you haven't fully cooked it, so it will absorb some of those juices.
Yep.
And then there you go.
Yep.
So is
Yeah.
that so? Obviously, the flounder's been another one. I know on one of the other trips you did with Spartan Forge, you did bear ribs. Can you kind of
Yeah.
go through the how you got to that point? Because I'm just curious because I've never heard of anybody like actually cooking the ribs.
Yeah. So I had never cooked them either, right? And on this trip with Spartan Forge, we get up to the outfitter up in Canada, and they were talking about how they cook them. So I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. Like if I have an outfitter coming to me as the chef telling me, hey, we cook really good bear ribs, I'm gonna trust that they're pretty good if you have the balls to come tell me that they're good. A lot of people like that's a tough cut to cook. If you got the balls to be confident to say that you can cook them good, I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued now. So I was asking like, how do you guys do it? What do you do? And they pressure cook it, and I was like, okay, that's why they're good because they get pressure cooked, you know. So who was it? Johnny Stewart actually ended up killing a bear, and we cooked his bear ribs. And what I ended up doing with them, because I knew I wanted to build a lot of flavor, but I knew I needed to pressure cook them, and to pressure cook correctly, you need a lot of liquid in there. Well, liquid can strip a lot of flavor out as well if you don't do it right. So I seasoned it with my own rub, it's called Ricochet rub. It's a coffee and chili based rub. It was great for wild game. There's a lot of umami based ingredients in there, like mushroom powder and cocoa powder and stuff like that too. But I'd seasoned it with that, and I knew that I wanted to render some of the fat out that's in this bear too, just because they tend to be a little bit greasier. And granted, we did a really good job butchering, so there wasn't a lot of intermuscular fat left. Um, so I knew there wasn't a whole lot that I needed to do. So I grilled them super hard, get a nice sear on there, get some caramelization on the spices and the meat and the fat. Threw them in the pressure cooker with some beef broth and a lot of seasonings in there too to just keep that flavor rolling throughout this whole thing. And then pressure cooked them, I think, for a half hour to begin with. Pulled them out, and they weren't quite tender for me, so I threw them back in there. And that's one of the things too. Like people don't understand. You don't like just because your timer goes off doesn't mean you have to be done cooking. You can throw the thing back in the crock pot. You can put it back in the oven. You can put it back in the pressure cooker, and get it to the point where it needs to be in order to be tender. So I threw it back in there, got them tender, and then I pulled them out and I let them chill back down a little bit so that way they could tighten back up to be workable again for me, right? To where some of those connective tissues can just congeal a little bit to where they're not going to be a sloppy mess if I throw them back on the grill because I wanted to grill them again because now all my texture that I had built on the grill with the caramelization and the searing before was now stripped off from being pressure cooked in liquid. So I threw them back on the grill, then I put them on a pan and I broiled them for a little bit too, just to build a super nice crust on there. But then I make a steak sauce with that same rub that I do, that ricochet rub, the coffee and chili rub, with some blueberry preserves in there and some beef broth to make this like sweet and savory wild game like steak sauce essentially. So ended up plating those ribs up with that, and dude, like people went nuts over how well it was. And the only like it was nothing crazy technique wise. The only big thing was pressure cooking it until it was tender and making sure it had a good sear on it and building the flavor correct.
Because you're creating that texture on the exterior without losing the flavor on the inside.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So from start to finish, that seems like a pretty in-depth process, or was that pretty painless?
For me, it was pretty painless, but this is what I do for a living. If this was say regular like just some dude that had spare ribs in his freezer at home, it would be all day worth of cooking and dealing with cleanup and all of that kind of stuff. It's quite a bit of work.
So without the cleanup, how long from the bear ribs were off of the animal to
Hmm.
plating it? How long did that take? Because I'm assuming you pretty much butchered it and put it right in the pressure cooker.
No, they had gotten them to me, I think, like a couple hours ahead of time. But essentially, from seasoning, grilling to being like my first step of seasoning to being on the plate, if I had to do this for a dinner, you could have it done in under an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
yep,
pretty good.
yeah. And that's just because like when you're using the pressure cooker, and especially if you use like an industrial size instant pot or something, you freaking set it and forget it, man. Set the timer to 45 minutes on like pressure and just let it go. Pull it out. Like basically, it's once I figured out the system, right? It's as simple as season, sear, pressure cook for 45 minutes, sear again. While it's pressure cooking, build your sauce. Once they're done getting seared the second time, they're good to eat, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any other cool recipes you like or you've come up with, or?
Oh man, I did a mountain lion backstrap porchetta out in Oklahoma one time. I tend to do a lot of Mexican stuff too. I love Latin flavors. Like I did like handmade elk enchiladas mountainside in Wyoming in the Bighorn Mountains. We were doing an overlanding trip there, and I'd been given a bunch of elk roasts. So I'd like slow cooked them, and then I built these enchiladas and like a homemade enchilada sauce. Like I didn't see pavement for 5 days there. Like that was one of my favorite cooks, just serving up like banging like rice, and I think I did a churro peach cobbler over the fire that night too for dessert. Like that
Jesus.
was, yeah, man. Like
Thank God I've already eaten breakfast. Otherwise, I'd be getting a third meal already. And this
I
sounds
know, dude, I'm
delicious.
going grocery shopping after this too, and I'm like, I probably shouldn't because I'm gonna buy the whole store right now.
Yeah, it makes
But
sense.
now
Well,
it's
speaking of, sorry, go ahead.
I uh I tend to do like themed days almost, right? Like I'll have a steakhouse day, I'll have a Mexican day, I'll have I have like a barbecue day, I'll have a southern day. So like I tend to try to keep my um skills pretty versatile for my clients because like I'll get clients in from California, I'll get them in from Florida or New York where like everybody eats different stuff, so I have to stay really versatile. But then I do have my own flavors that I've developed within those little genres of food that really highlight who I am and what I do, essentially.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's transition. You brought up the fact that you got to go to the grocery store, and all this talk makes me hungry. But now let's kind of put the mindset behind it that we're bringing food or making food for a rutcation or snacks in the woods. So, kind of,
Yeah.
if we want to go through what your thought process is and kind of think of like the quote unquote guy that doesn't like to cook a lot, what are some tips or tricks or ideas for prepping meals for time in the
Yeah.
woods, or even if it's like a spike camp type thing, and then we can kind of transition into different snack ideas that are not exactly the little Debbie's or other fruitcakes that are just going to kind of put you to sleep.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So my biggest tip for a lot of guys is use your leftovers at home, right? Cook some extra at night, cook some extra protein, make sure like probably Wednesday when I'm going out, I'm taking leftovers out with me that I'll just keep them in the cooler right now, right? But I have a little camp stove at the truck, so when I get back to the truck, I'll pull that thing out with my little skillet and I'll like I think I'm cooking what am I doing tonight? Swedish meatballs. So I'll probably have some sort of Swedish meatballs for lunch on Wednesday, but it's hot and fresh, it's good homemade, and it's clean. It's not processed by any means because I made everything, you know? And I do that a lot to where, granted, the way I like to eat too is I always have some sort of protein in the fridge that is done and cooked. That, like, if I'm feeling snacky, I can just grab it and I can make a taco quick. I can fry it up with some eggs. I can do whatever. A lot of times, like, I'll get a rotisserie chicken and just pick it and have it in the fridge. I'll cook like a chuck roast and just pick that, have it in the fridge, or just some cooked up burger or something, you know, or just any leftover protein there. But I like to, like, I build a bin that I keep in my truck, honestly, with like, I have a cutting board, I have utensils, I have spices in there. Granted, though, this is because I'm out in the woods almost every single day. So I will take my leftovers out and I'll heat them up and I'll have a nice lunch at the truck or something like that. Now, if I'm walking through, like if I'm like, hey, on the go, I want to pack a lunch in with me for this type of thing, depending on the weight that I want to use. Like if I'm not caring about weight, if I'm only doing a quick trip or whatever, I'll bring a camp stove and a dehydrated meal. Now, the thing with the dehydrated meals is that there's a ton and ton of options out there. Ton of them are processed, ton of them have a lot of sodium, a lot of them don't taste that great, stuff like that. I've like you can find these little niche ones and stuff like that. I like the guys I've partnered with, On Point Adventure Foods. They're the ones that make my Ricochet rub right now. Um, they cook everything in house, everything's super clean, as little preservatives as possible, farm fresh stuff as possible too. There, so really trying to find, and they like to do good macros too, right? So putting in some planning and preparation into your hunts for this, rather than hey, what can I grab at the gas station this morning? For my hunt for all weekend basically. It's like, hey,
Yeah, makes sense. So now
yeah,
let's kind of transition that same thought into, say, for example, a scenario. Me, you, and Bo are going up to my property in northern Wisconsin. We're going to be up there for a week. what's kind of your thought process for, do you like to prep a few of the meals, freeze it, and then just kind of thaw it when you get there? Or
Yeah,
what's your thought process to that? Because mainly what I want to focus on is the guy that isn't exactly a phenomenal cook, but it's a great way to kind of, like you brought up earlier, we're still athletes in the field, even if some
yeah,
of us are a little bit bigger or a little smaller. It's just making sure that we're getting the right nutrition, that we're not 8 o'clock in the morning on day three that we're dragging butt getting to the
yep,
stand.
yeah, man. So I do this part a lot. I will prep everything I can ahead of time. So in cooking, right, there's a term called mise en place, right? It's a French term. It just means to put in place, essentially, right? Which means get all the little shit done that you can ahead of time, right? So chopping all your veg, doing all of that, that's stuff that you should do in the kitchen before you actually start cooking, right? So I take that concept and I'm like, man, how do I introduce this into the woods? So I still want to be able to give really technically sound food in terms of texture, flavor, all of that type of stuff, but as little work as possible. So, like, for me, breakfast burritos are a huge breakfast item because they're easily packable in and they're easily prepped for me. But I don't build them fully, right? So, what I'll do is I'll cook my protein, I'll cook my eggs, and I'll cook my hash browns. I'll let them all cool down and I'll mix them all together. Then I'll throw my cheese in there and I'll just have that in a bag, right? In a plastic bag in a cooler on ice. I'll pre-mix my sauce up too, and then I'll just have tortillas. So like in the morning, dude, light my stove, light my fire, get my skillet nice and hot, heat up my filling a little bit, pour my sauce in there, wrap it up in my tortilla, toast my tortilla up, wrap it in foil. Like I can have a breakfast burrito done that has super high protein. The carbs are as where basically where you want them based on the potatoes you want in there and the size tortilla you use. But it can be done in under 10 minutes to have one of the breakfast burritos you're going to have. And you don't have to cook your protein. You don't have to cook your eggs. You don't have to cook your potatoes. That's already done. All you're doing is putting filling in a burrito with sauce and toasting it.
Hmm, that makes sense. So, what are some other tips or tricks like that? Obviously, prepping a bunch of it ahead of time. Is it like, say, for example, if it's making chili or whatever else, are you just going to freeze it and then whenever you're ready to eat it at camp, you're literally just going to throw it on the stove? Or what
Yep.
are some other ideas for
Yeah,
other
soups.
recipes or food?
Yep, soups I like to do like that. And I like to freeze them in big, large batches too, like in a big Tupperware container. Because what that is then is it's just a big old hunk of thermal mass that's cold. Instead of all these tiny little ice cubes in there, you now have 2 gallons of frozen soup that's acting as better ice than, your 1 inch by 1 inch ice cubes. It's just a big thermal mass. So instead of buying ice, like I like to use soups or frozen water bottles as my ice because then you can drink the water too and open up more cooler space essentially. Um, but no, dude, I do a lot of stuff like that. Like I'll prep all my pasta so I don't have to cook because pasta only needs like reheated in warm water for it to be edible. You don't have to spend a half hour boiling water and then, 10 minutes cooking your pasta just to eat dinner that night. Just reheat it in some warm water over the stove for 30 seconds, basically, right? Same thing with all my pasta sauces too. Like I'll freeze those ahead of time. Or if it's a quick trip, like I'll cook a day ahead. Like if I'm leaving Friday, I'll cook everything Thursday, just so everything's super fresh for Friday, Saturday, Sunday for me.
Got it. And
Um,
then mainly you're just going to pull it out of the cooler with whatever you feel like eating that day.
Yep. Yeah, I'll generally develop a menu too to be like, hey, this is what I need to pull this day, and this is what I need to pull this day, and I'll organize it in the cooler so that way I'm opening and closing the cooler as little number of times as possible just to help any heat loss out of there or cold loss out of there.
Yeah, makes sense. So
Yep.
now that you kind of have some of the major meals figured out, are there any, say for example, myself, I'm not as in depth or have as much patience to cook or prep ahead of time.
hmm
What do you do for like snacks in the field? Say for example, for myself, if I don't want to go make anything, if I'm going to the store, what are some snacks or stuff that you bring to the woods that somebody doesn't have to prep and they can just pick up at a grocery store?
Yeah, man. So one of my favorite things to do, it does require like minimal prep work, but it's a huge benefit I find. And this is just because I like to eat super clean and minimally processed and stuff like that. You can either go to the store or go to Amazon because Amazon has banging deals for stuff like this to buy like your little like trail mix ingredients, right? So like your nuts, any little crackers like sesame sticks, and like build your own trail mix, right? So when I start the season, I'll spend, 60, 70, $80 on ingredients and build 10 pounds of trail mix that I just keep in the truck all the time. Like it stays right in my center console. So basically, I'll just buy everything, mix it, and I'll buy a big 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag, fill it up, and just throw it in the truck. So that way, like, I always have a snack in my truck that I can eat that I know I like because it's all the stuff that I like in a trail mix. Like, I'm not trying to go find one from a gas station that's not full of fucking sweets and preservatives and stuff like that. You can be as clean with it as you want to or as dirty with it as you want to in terms of your ingredients and stuff. But then what I do is I'll keep a little tiny, like, quiet cloth bag in my, like, actual hunting bag, and I'll fill that thing up and throw it in my backpack before I go out in the woods, so that way I can take a snack out in the woods with me too, and I'm not having to buy extra all the time.
So what are you when you're going to the woods? Obviously, you got the trail mix that you might bring a little bag with. What are your go-to snacks when you're, say, for example, you're going to be it's November, whatever. You can pick the date. And you're going to be out for an all-day hunt. What's your go-to
Yeah.
snacks you bring to the woods?
Yep. So for me, I tend to be a little bit different because I've honestly taught myself to have a 22-hour intermittent fasting window just so I don't have to bring food when I can hunt. But there are days where I do recognize, like, hey, I need some nutrition. I've burnt through my glycogen. I need some carbs in me and stuff like that. So I do have stuff I do bring, right? I'm a big fan of jerky for this instance, just to get some better protein. Jerky or biltong, whatever you prefer. I I don't like store-bought stuff, so I make my own stuff. Order whatever you like, make whatever you like, buy whatever you like for that. Just get it out of the plastic bag it comes in because that's the loudest thing in the woods, right? Um, I'm also a fan of like your dried meat sticks. I'm not a big fan of like snack sticks for some reason. I like more of your cured like charcuterie meat snack sticks, stuff like that. Um, if it's cold enough out, I always like to bring cheese too. I'm a fan of getting my carbohydrates and my fat from nuts and cheese compared to like your flours and pastas and rice and stuff like that. I tend to get gummed up with rice and pasta and stuff, and I just tend to shut down for a lot of it. So I like to get my carbs elsewhere, or at least limit them. Um, a lot of what I'll do too is I'll make a burrito early in the morning and wrap it up in tinfoil and then wrap it up in like a hoodie or something and stuff it in my bag. And generally come that like 10:30, 11:30 time frame where I'm a little bit hungry, that burrito is still nice and warm because it's insulated in there. So you kind of have a nice hot lunch a little bit there without having to break out like a camp stove or in a freeze dried meal or something like that. I do also like to have some sort of candy in my bag as well. And I say candy, what I mean by that is a very simple, fast acting sugar, right? Because as athletes, we can experience some blood sugar drops pretty quickly if we're hiking up and down the mountains and our nutrition is off for the day. Having something to bring that back up, whether it's a little shot of honey or some Skittles or something like that, just something to regulate your blood sugar in the event you find yourself struggling out in the woods that can act super quickly is very beneficial. I've had to use it several times where I'm just like dragging a deer out and I'm 2 miles from the truck and I'm like, dude, my legs are shot right now. Like I need something in me, but my body doesn't have enough time to digest protein and fat to give me energy. I'll take a quick hit of a simple sugar just to bring that back up super quick.
Got it. Makes sense. So is there food? Obviously, you pretty much prep anything and everything ahead of time, just with your experience, your
Yeah.
expertise as a chef.
Yep.
So more or less, you would probably strongly suggest getting away from like the little Debbie snacks or anything like that, because that's pretty much just going to spike your blood sugar.
Yeah, I like, dude. I haven't taken a little Debbie snack in the woods since like I was a kid. To be honest with you, um, I've really found that any sort of carbs like that to snack on, to like you're gonna eat throughout the day, really does not do me well. Now, what I will say is every single person, like their body's different. Your body may need a lot more carbs than mine does. Like Mine can run off of basically none. I've lived off zero carbs before. When we did keto, I used to count the carbs in the spices I used. I was sub 1 gram of carb per day. I find that I tend to operate and think a lot better on that essentially wavelength of nutrition, where some guys may need carbs all day for their body to sustain themselves. It's really figuring out how your body likes to eat and then figuring out how can I bring that into the woods with me so I can feel normal all day instead of eating Little Debbie's or eating Reese's cups out there and Snickers bars and stuff like that.
So how does somebody try and figure that out? Is it literally just trial and error? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't have your expertise. Like for somebody like myself, how do I try and figure out where's that sweet spot for that carb intake or that fat intake to kind of stay on point without doing a 22-hour fast?
Yeah, man. So what a lot of or what I tell a lot of people to figure this out, right, is just start tracking how you eat, right? But also like track everything you eat throughout the day, but also track how that day went for you in terms of how your body felt physically, how your mind was sharpness wise, how your emotions were in check, and all of that, right? Because your food and your gut really help dictates and determines a lot of how you act and operate through the day. A lot of people don't realize that right now. Like, think of the simple term of being hangry, right? Like, if you haven't eaten in enough time, a lot of people get a little frustrated and angry and aggravated a lot faster than normal because their brain doesn't have the sugar to operate as it needs to comfortably. So it tends to be a little bit more on edge at that point. So, really listening to your body and figuring out how it feels based on how you eat. But then look back after 2 weeks and see, hey, when I have my good days, what did I eat? When I have my bad days, what did I eat? And then this next go round, try to implement more of the stuff you ate on the good days and see if you have more good days, right? Now, this process could take you 6 weeks to 8 weeks, depending on how fast it takes you, right? Um, but I really think figuring out how your body likes to eat really unlocks a lot of freedom in how you can live your life. Because if your body isn't controlled by, hey man, I gotta have this big ass lunch at 12 o'clock every day because I think that this is how I eat, because this is how I've been told to eat. If you can unlock doing more on less fuel because your body doesn't need it, why wouldn't you in the woods, you know?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. Because
Yeah.
I'm very similar, so I'll just go through what I normally bring to the woods. I'm a big snack sticks person, but that's because there's a factory store where you can go to the outlet and literally buy like a big bag for
Oh
like
yeah.
$6-7 of like pepperoni, turkey, whatever. So literally like every hunting season I'll go up there and spend like 50-60 bucks and buy a
Yeah.
bunch. Yeah. But it's to your point, it's gonna have that, it's gonna have some form of some trail mix in it. And then I haven't done the burrito thing, but I like
Hmm.
how you kind of go about doing that. What we've done in the past is we'll take egg muffin trays and
Yeah.
put a bunch of veggies or whatever else in it. We've never put any carbs in it, but we'll definitely add some cheese because it,
Yeah.
it builds a little bit more texture and consistency. And then we'll build like 3 to 4 trays of those. And then literally in the morning, you can just go in the fridge, grab as many as you want. We've used like the silicone bags that have the
Yeah.
press seal on the top.
Yep.
So I'll take like 6 or 7 of those. And that's a great way, to your point, to bring, you're still getting the protein you need. You're getting some form of fat, but I very rarely bring now. Like I don't think last year, 1 or 2 days I brought chocolate in the woods. Most of the time, I
Right.
actually like fruit snacks, the
Yeah.
little singles, because to your
Yep.
point, it's a great way to get that instant sugar. But
Yeah.
I think that is kind of what I'm going to focus on. But I like some form of caffeine, if that's in like a bar or like pill form, something that you can have at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon that's going to get you that last
Yeah.
4 hours of, okay, cool, I'm kind of dragging ass on day 4. What's a great way to kind of like take something that doesn't take up a bunch of real estate in the pack?
Yeah, I always bring in hydration and caffeine supplements too, and like I use Protect in their liquid supplements, so they're super quiet out there too. Um, but I do find that having those backups just helps keep my body regulated, especially with the electrolyte salts and stuff too. Like I'm sure, just as a wrestler, I'm sure you know how it is. Like, dude, if your salts are down, like it's tough to
It's
move.
crazy the
You
difference,
know?
because
Yeah.
it's crazy the difference. So even for me, I have those element ones, I'm
Yeah.
doing at least one a day. And most of
Yep.
the time, like when I'm going hunting, I'm probably, even though every time I drink them, I got to piss like crazy, I'm going to usually pound one before I go out in the woods. And then I'm going to pound one as soon as I get back in the cabin. Even though it sucks that you've got to piss all that time or you piss a lot more, but I'd much
Right.
rather be hydrated than walking back and dragging butt.
That's the thing too. I think a lot of guys miss. Like we're talking about nutrition, hydration is so paramount out in the field like that. Like how often do you see guys go out for an all-day sit and take 1 or 2 bottles of water? You're just like,
If they
dude,
take
that
any
is,
water.
yeah. Like on average, I drink close to 2 gallons a day just myself, right? And that isn't like I don't make a point to. It's just I'm that busy and I'm doing that much work where I'm that thirsty, right? And it's just naturally how much I end up drinking. So like for me, what I do, I carry a Grail filter out in the woods, but then I also have a 40-ounce hydration bladder on my back. So I have a half a gallon of water on me at all times, and dude, I'll fill that up 2 or 3 times throughout the all day hunt too. Like I make it a point to know where my water sources are, so I can go filter water and get more. I'm also a lot different hunter than a lot of people too. Like I like to run and gun a lot. I don't hunt the same tree nonstop like dark to dark all the time. So I do get around and move quite a bit. So I do.
So,
I'm
like
able to
through a
get
rut
to.
scenario, are you
Yeah,
kind of like just picking a spot, sitting there for like 4 hours, and then knowing that, okay, cool, I'm in the bottom of this drainage. The thermals are going to flip this afternoon, anyways. I'm just going to go somewhere else.
yeah. That's how I tend to work a lot of my stuff. And like you're gonna have a lot of guys who disagree with that type of hunting. However, I'm not a wait for a deer to walk by me kind of guy. I'm a find hot sign, find deer, get on deer, and kill a deer kind of guy. I just like a very active, adventurous type of hunt, and that's how I hunt. I find a lot of success doing it that way too. Like it's just my style of hunting, but that is what I love to do. It's that way for me. It's 2, 3, 4 hours in the same thing. Then I'm down finding fresh sign, finding trails, finding where the wind's blowing, thermals, what's dropping, and just setting up at a new spot basically.
Got it. So, is there anything like, do you personally have any favorite spots that you're trying to like pinpoint on a map? If that's like drainage ditches, funnels,
Oh yeah,
saddles,
hundred
or are you
percent.
just kind of like all the above and you're just literally like a dog trying to find a rabbit and you're literally just going all over to just find fresh stuff?
So it's both, right? This is a lot of the way I hunt is based around woodsmanship. So like you have to know what you're looking at and know how to operate with it in the woods too, right? Um, so I'll e-scout areas like after our podcast here. Like I've e-scouted already. I'm gonna go scout and hopefully the rain ends here. Um, but I like to pick out certain terrain features e-scouting, and then like I'm not set to that specific area when I get in there in person though. That's an area I want to get to because I think it's going to be okay. And then when I get there, I am balls to the walls like a dog on the rabbit, like you said, man, trying to find sign, trying to find where things are, trying to pick that area apart. Now, I may have 6 different huntable trees in the same area, but they all are different based on how the wind is, how the terrain is, and stuff like that.
Yeah, very similar like to the scouting point. Even yesterday when I went out, it was I checked a few like I literally had 3 pins on this area. And I'm like, if I can get to 2 of these 3 in today's time frame, perfect. And then it's literally to your point, okay, cool. Well, I didn't find Jack here. So this second pin's probably going to be the exact same thing because it's the exact same terrain. But what
Yep.
that means is then I can just speed scout it and cannonball through until we get to point 3, and then you can kind of like wing it from there.
Yep. And that I tend to like you have your guys that would go into that like, point two, like you were saying, and really pick it apart and find all the signs. But that's not the sign I'm after. I'm after the big area like when on my first round of hunting an area, I'm after the give me the feeding sign, give me the bedding sign, give me the fresh sign that I can see so that makes me want to come back in here and figure it out. Because if I don't see that stuff, I'm like, man, there's like, yeah, there's deer in here, but it's not worth it for me to hunt to give myself the chance I want to give myself, you know?
Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So let's try to transition. If you could plan the perfect hunt, what would the weather, the date, and the time of year look like?
Oh man.
And if you want to pick two or three, I'm like, what's your ideal? Like, if you could pick the perfect hunting scenario, what does that look like to you?
Yeah. So, uh, my ideal hunt is going to be a whitetail archery hunt in fall, right? However, I'd love it to be when the foliage is out, the real beautiful leaves and stuff, but it's also 65 at that time of year. My favorite time to hunt, and it doesn't happen very much right now during archery around here. It used to happen quite a bit. Like, I remember about 6 years ago, we had an archery season where the rut was in the negatives the whole time with like a foot or two of snow. Those are my favorite hunts. The super cold, super snowy, like I love to make my hunts as hard as possible on myself, and this is where like my morals come into this. So I don't trophy hunt. I don't use scents. I don't use attractants. I didn't use trail cams for the longest time, and I still hardly use them. And I think I'm going to get away from them completely. I like making my hunts as hard as I can on myself because I want to respect that animal. And I say that because I'm there essentially to take that thing's life to extend my own life. So I want to show that thing some respect and not make it an easy kill for me. And actually, this year I moved away from compound hunting and went to traditional archery just to make it even harder on myself because I want to respect that animal that much more because I'm killing the damn thing. So I love it when my hunts are the brutally cold weather, the snowy, the shit that no one wants to hunt in. That's the kind of hunt I want. So I'd love an archery hunt that's like pure rut craziness with a foot of snow, like -20 out, just the shit that no one wants to be in. But
Yeah,
then,
because you're gonna be
but
the only like you and
yeah,
three other people are gonna be the only people in the woods.
exactly. But that's the kind of hunter I am. But then on top of that, I'm probably gonna cook like a New York strip up in the tree just to be that guy. Because hey, if it's a dream hunt, I'm having a steak lunch up in the fucking tree, man.
Yeah, makes sense. So
Yeah.
obviously we've got the ideal hunting scenario. So what are your must-have pieces of gear? What are some of your tips to stay warm if it's that cold?
Yeah, man. So one of my biggest tips, a lot of guys don't do this. Hand warmers are the biggest thing, right? A lot of guys use hand warmers. I don't buy the hand warmers anymore. I buy the body warmers, but the non-adhesive ones. So they're essentially the same size, or they're like the size of two hand warmers put together. So they just put off a lot more heat. They're a lot like they last a lot freaking longer. I just like those so much better because like I'll throw them down in my boots, I'll throw them all over the place, right? Granted, I do spend a little bit of money on them things, but that's what I found to like really keep the areas that get cold on me warm there. Now, my go-to things are really dialing in my pieces of gear, right? Like I'm so specific about how I run my setup that like my backpack, I can tell you what's in every single pocket, every little detail of everything that's in there. I can go through it through the dark and grab anything I need. Like setting that thing up to where you know how to run it to me is my biggest like tip to people. Because the more efficient you are, the longer you can stay out in the woods. And efficiency goes down to everything to like how warm are your feet? Are you packing in extra socks? Do you have a base layer that you wear in with an outer layer, and then do you have an insulation layer and then a rainproof layer that you pack in? Like that's how I run my system, right? Um, I love a good hand muff too. I don't wear gloves. I'm just not a big glove guy. They tend to mess up a lot of people's shots if you don't shoot with them a lot because it changes the finger placement wherever it is. Um, so I love hand muffs. I love a good hoodie too, like a nice big hood to conceal yourself. I like keeping my neck nice and warm too, just with that hood to block some wind. Really, man, like there's a ton of tips I could give. It's really dial in your system, but block the wind, keep your feet and your hands warm, and you're gonna extend your time out there by probably 25 to 30%.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll kind of piggyback off of the knowing exactly where everything is in your pack because it's the same thing that I do every spring or summer. It's literally I'll do 4 to 5 practice climbs either in the tree in my yard or go find some public or a local park. And then I've tried to climb the tree before where I'll actually close my eyes. Aside from like moving my one stick, I'll close my eyes and try and set up everything on the tree that I'm like, okay, cool. This is how I want to set it up. This is how I got to do this. This is where that knot needs to go. So this knot hangs here off my left side, which is my weak side shot. Just the minor, like to your point, those minor details add up. The way that I look at it is a minor math equation. Does it all make a huge difference? Yes, if you add it all up. But all the like, if you don't do all the little minor steps or that attention to detail, to your point, it's going to be that same issue that you're going to run into is, oh shit, I forgot my release. Oh, where's my secondary release? It's in this pouch, in this pocket. Where's my backup strap? Where's my backup carabiner? Like, where's your XYZ?
Man. Yep. That's really just knowing your gear and knowing how to run it is like so critical in actually being able to become a great and good hunter. And not even that, just being able to get on top of deer a lot better by being more efficient and knowing where all your stuff is makes it easier. The less noise and less movement you have to do, the better hunter you're going to be. That just goes hand in hand, you know.
Well, agreed. So let's do this. Obviously, you've got a pretty good understanding of what's in your pack. Walk me through your process. So now you found some hot sign. You picked a tree you like. Walk me through. You're at the base of the tree. What's your process for the climb up and the ascend down?
Yeah, man. So get to my tree. I am looking at where I want to set my platform up on what side based on how I want to conceal myself or where I want to take my shot from. Right? Once I have that figured out, I will go about 90 degrees clockwise around the tree from that and put my bow right there. Because when I climb the tree, my bow is going to be basically right there from my platform hanging when I put my bow hanger on the tree. So I like to have my bow on the side that I'm going to pull it up on to set my hanger on, right? But for my backpack, I keep in my backpack it's a muddy retractable pull rope, but it's a self-retracting one, right? So like it's hands-free. So I put it in my cup holder in my backpack and just cut a little hole in the bottom pocket, ran my cord through and put my carabiner right there. So I'll just reach behind me, pull it, attach it right to my bow, and it's connected. It feeds itself out and it feeds itself back in, right? So granted, before that, I've taken my steps and my platform off, and they're sitting at the base of the tree, right? My backpack's on me now. So last year I ran 3 steps with 3/8. This year I'm changing it, so I'll do my last year setup. I will preset my bottom step, and then I run the Timber Ninja gear, so I'll hang both of my other 2 sticks off my sides with magnetic stick clips there, and I'll hang my saddle or my platform off of my back there too. Throw my linemen's around, and I'll get to climbing. And I do have specific steps where, like, I'm not on the top of my first step by the time I hang my next step, because that changes the height between steps, like between the top of my next step and my 8er for me. So I do it on the next step down, just so that way all of my spacing stays consistent and stays good for me there.
So just for reference for people that don't understand what you're saying, there's 2 steps to your stick. You're setting your next stick when you're at the bottom step of your stick, correct? You're not doing it when you're all the way on the top.
Yep. Yeah, I do it there. Just like you can climb as high as you want to if you want to. I try to make this an easy and efficient climb to be quiet and get to the height that I need to still, right? So I'm never trying to go as high as possible all the time. It's where is my concealment and where is the easiest spot to get to in the tree. So there's times where I'm 8 feet off the ground, and there's times where my head is 20 feet off the ground. You know, it all depends on what type of setup I need to run that day for that spot. But I'll get all 3 of my sticks set, and then once again, I'm not on my top. Actually, I'll preset my platform while I'm still on my second stick. Because I don't like to run my platform more than like a foot above the top of my top stick. Just because that's a weak point in a lot of people's process, to where that's a failure point of stepping from a stick to a platform if it's too high.
85%. That's where 85% of accidents happen, is that transition from your platform to your steps, or on a ladder stand, that transition where you're flipping to go down the ladder.
Yep, exactly.
That's where most hunting accidents happen, is that transition from point A to point B.
Yep. So I like to minimize and introduce some more safety minded mindset there, essentially, to be like, hey, I don't want to fall here. I'm going to set my platform a little bit lower. That extra foot I'm going to gain higher is not worth it to me to run a risk of falling when I get out of this thing right now, you know? Now, I'll get that set and then I'll climb up to the top of my third stick and then I will put my tether on before I even step foot on my platform itself, just to have another safety feature during that transition from stick to platform, right?
I'm the same way. That
Yep.
to me is a must. No
Yeah.
matter what you're using, if you're using a saddle platform, a hybrid platform, or a
Yep.
hang on,
Yeah.
I'm always adding that secondary rope. Even if you like, even for me with when I one stick, I've also added I'll have my rappel line, but I'll still add my lineman's belt sometimes just for that transition, just to make sure that I've got two lines of connectivity.
Yep. I do the same exact thing. So then I'll get up there, get on my platform, make sure it's nice and sturdy. And then once it's good, like I know I'm good to go, I'll adjust my tether, move it back around for me, take my lineman's off, right? And I'm good to go. So then while I'm up there, my backpack is still on my back though. So mine has a little pocket, like literally right at the top right here, that I keep my bow hanger in. So I reach up and around, grab that, throw it on the tree, and now my bow is already off to my left and my reel is just in my backpack. I'll pull that up, it retracts itself as I'm doing it. So once my bow is hung, my backpack can come right off, and there's already a hook on the other side of the tree for the backpack, and I'm done. Like I'm hunting at that point. It's minimal movement there, minimal effort, like hardly anything going on, basically.
What
Now,
pack are you running?
so last year I was running. It was the 2019 edition of the Sick Tool Bucket. I'm pretty sure they don't make it anymore. It's the new variation of the Tool Bucket or Toolbox, whatever's on the website, is completely different than the bag I have.
So you have the one that Bo designed and built years ago, correct?
Yeah, pretty sure it has like a huge flap on the top of it.
So does it have those big wings, or is it just the big
No,
flap?
just the big flap with just
Okay, so yeah,
two.
you've got the tool. God, which
I
it's
think
not the
it's the
belt, because I've
box.
got the Sika tool belt. I think it's the bucket.
Yeah, I forget which one it is, but they don't make it anymore. And I like it for the bag that it is. There's some improvements that could be made, but I'm switching this year.
Yeah, the bucket, because you've got that big flap that hangs over the top, and then you've
Yeah.
got a bunch of inner pockets on the interior.
Yes. Yep. So I'm switching over to a Slumberjack hone, which I've ridden this bag before. The only reason I'm switching over to it is because it has this like game carrier on the front of it, right? That you can throw a rifle down into if you want to. But with us coming out with the kunai at Timber Ninja, with that being a very large platform, I have one here. It sits in that pack very nicely in that little game carrier on the front. So that's where I'm going to run the kunai, and my sticks is right in that front pocket now.
So it's mainly you've got the frame pack, the pack portion, then you're going to run all your stuff in between?
No,
or is it further out?
No, it's not even a frame pack, dude. Look it up.
What is it?
It's just Slumberjack Hone, Hone. So it's not a very it's great for not being a very large pack for being what it is, but it still holds a lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've got your normal pack portion, but you've got a secondary piece that kind of sandwiches everything in.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where I'm gonna run the kunai and my sticks, because I pre-fit one and it fits perfect right there for me.
Yeah, because for anybody that doesn't know what he's talking about, the kunai is the hybrid platform that Timber Ninja came out with this year. It's 4.10 pounds, and it's 16 by 20 or something close to that for the measurements.
Yeah, so it's the same size as a Lone Wolf 0.5, but it has no seat, no vertical post, and no cables. It's a saddle hunting platform, basically, which is the same size. So, but it packs down to 1 inch thick, too, which is really nice for how I'm going to pack it on this pack.
Yeah, because I've got the Mystery Ranch 18, and once you guys come up with the kunai, same concept to what you're talking about. I would actually try and fit that in the meat shelf portion, and then
Yeah.
I could literally unclip, pull the whole thing out, and set it right
Yep.
on the tree.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do with mine. Like I should be able to not take my whole backpack off at all. Because we have Genesis working on some stick clips to hold that right to the kunai too. So
Nice.
yeah.
So now that you've gotten up on the tree, we'll say, boom, shots fired, you hit. What's your process to get down and then to butcher and take the deer out of the woods?
Yeah, dude. So basically super simple. Grab my bag, throw it on. My bow is on the hanger at this point, right? But literally just grab it, hook my carabiner on from my pull rope that's already in my side pocket there in my backpack, lower it down, put my lineman's on, and just start my descent down basically. I have my pockets set up with like all my ropes are in their specific ways. Like my lineman's and tether are separated, where in my SSP from my platform is in one certain pocket. They all go in specific ways, so it's an order of operation. Like the order of operations I do going up the tree is just reversed coming down now. So platform off. My tether is now on my bag too because I'm on my sticks. I'm running my lineman's now. So then my SSP is on top of my tether. That bag is now sealed up and zipped up, so it's done. Climbing down, just pull a stick off, wrap it up the way I need to with my rope mod, hang it from my side, get down to the ground, stack everything up, throw it in the bag on, unclip my bow, good to go.
And then it's just climb down, pack everything back up, boogie.
Yep, yep. It is super simple, super efficient.
Nice. I like that. That to me is one of the biggest things that I kind of thrive on is being efficient. I don't want to have to do what some people do where they take their pack off at the tree, they take this
Yep,
off, they take that off. And it's not that that's the wrong way to do it. It's just to me, if I'm going to hunt, I don't want to spend 4 to 5 minutes at the base of the tree. I'd rather get all the way up the tree. And even for
yes,
like my layers and stuff, I put
yes,
that on at the top. I've
yeah,
just gone accustomed to even like on my one stick, it's only like 9.5 by like 4.5 deep. I'll put like base layer or not base layers, outer layers on at the top of the tree. Even with the
yeah,
saddle, you just got to figure out how to kind of put one leg on and the other leg
yep,
on, and then just one
yeah,
side of your suspenders, second side
yep.
makes it a little bit
No,
easier.
I do the same thing. It depends too on like what pieces of gear I'm running that day too. Um, like if I'm now granted when I walk in, like I'm only in base layers and like a thin pair of pants and a thinner top. Like I can't wear a jacket or anything when I walk in just because I sweat so much.
I'm the same
Um,
way. I'll literally
yeah,
put all that on, and I've done it before too. I've done it two different ways, depending on if it's like we don't preset some of the spots we have up north. We'll pre-cut a tree, so I know certain trees where I want to
yeah,
go. Yeah. So depending on where it is, I might actually put a lot of that on, depending on how far it is from where I put it
yeah,
onto the tree to help build more inner core temperature is the
yep,
big thing.
yep.
Instead of putting it on the tree, because what I've noticed, if you don't put it on right away, like if you wait a little bit to cool down, you're losing all your body heat.
That's the thing too. Like people know what insulation is, but don't know how to don't know how to make insulation work for them, right? Like insulation, yeah, it's designed to help keep things warm, but insulation needs heated up in order for it to keep itself warm. If it's been in your truck in your backpack and it's cold as shit when you put it on, you need to lose body heat in order to heat that garment up now. So you are going to drop a little bit in temp. And to your point, like I will wear some gear in just to keep it warm by the time I get to the tree. Or like if it's been a decent walk, but I know I'm going to need some insulation layers on, I will take the time and I'll put them on before my climb because I know that my climb I can work up a little bit of core temperature and build up that the warmth in those garments there. And then when I'm up to the top, I'll throw on my outer layers and stuff too, just to hold all of that in now.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that was one of the big mistakes I made the last couple of years is I would wait like a half hour, 40 minutes to
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like dissipate that heat. And it's like even if like because we normally hunt on private, so we're able to kind of keep most of our gear and stuff in the cabin. But still, like say for example, if you air out some of your clothes and it's sitting on the porch, well, that's not at cabin temperature. That's at outside temperature.
Right. Yep. Yep. No, I do the same thing. And here's something a lot of people don't think about either, right? leave your bow in your truck overnight, right? Because in the firearms world, it doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen. Like if you go out hunting and or like if your gun has been in the cabin all night next to a fireplace and you go out in the morning and it's 15 degrees, A, your scope is going to fog up. B, things are going to start to move and shrink because it's changing temperature very rapidly and things could be off. Same thing goes with bows, right? Like if you're taking a bow from a 75-degree cabin out into the now 15-degree temp cold, not saying it's going to happen, but there's a chance your shots could be a little bit off because that bow was not adjusted to the temperature yet and it was still moving.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. So back to the point. So obviously you shot trad bow, you're able to track and find the deer. What's your back end process? Are you going to try and quarter them out, or do you have to drag them out in PA? Because I know in Wisconsin, we technically need to take out everything. We can't leave anything behind.
Oh yeah, I remember that up there. No, in PA you can gut and you can quarter, you can do whatever you want in PA for the most part. You can gut and drag it. You could drag it out whole. You could quarter it and bring it out. There's a lot of options here in PA. Me personally, just growing up this way, being the guy I am, I like to drag them out. Like I'll gut them, but I'll drag them out whole after that. I'm also the guy, like I'll throw them on my shoulder and walk out with them and sit. Like that's just being a manly, burly man kind of thing for me. I like doing that type of thing,
Embracing the suck.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing. Like embrace the suck. Like I'm here, and that's part of my hunting morals too. Like I'll never shoot one from a vehicle, and I'll never use a vehicle to go get it. Basically, like to drive up to it and get it. Like I will always drag it somewhere because like I just killed the thing. I need to put some work in to make it worth it.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar to that. I mean, obviously we've got ATVs and UTVs. I'm not going to drag the thing. I've drug one all the way back before.
Yeah,
But if I don't need to and I can get it to a clearing where we can pick up a vehicle to do it, I'll do that. But I'm not going to your point, like I'm going to give that animal some respect. I'm not literally just going to drive the four-wheeler all the way to right where it is.
You're right. Yeah. Yep. And now, granted, some of my hunts it is really shitty because they're 2, 3, 4 miles deep into the woods and the mountains up here. Those have been absolutely miserable drags where they take 3, 4 hours to get them out of the woods, and I'm dead. And I go like, I'll get back to camp and take a freaking nap right away, But that's the price to pay to play this game the way I want to play it, and I love it.
So then you've drug it back to the truck, your house, the cabin. Yep. What's your process? You going to try and quarter it right away or just skin it? What's your thought process on the back end?
Depending on location, depends on the full process, but I always try to skin it almost immediately. Just because the skin is just nothing but fat. It's essentially insulation. It's a jacket, right? And the warmer you keep that meat, the more bacterial growth you will have, the more spoilage that can occur, stuff like that. So the colder you get the meat, the faster, the better, right? So I'm always an advocate of skinning as soon as possible if the weather calls for it and the circumstance calls for it as well. Now, if it's like 65 degrees out and it isn't gonna like really drop in tent or anything like that, go ahead and leave it on to keep some flies off of that hide, but you need to quarter it, skin it, and get it in a cooler on ice immediately. Now, when I say on ice, I don't mean directly touching ice. Like, go grab some bags, put them down in the cooler, grab a big garbage bag, and then put that down, and then put your meat on top of that. Because you don't want this meat to get wet. That's how bacterial growth can spread as well when it has a method to move around that meat and get to new areas too.
Got it. So you mainly like it's all situational based for you. So mainly you're going to drag it out and then depending on whatever the temperature is, you're going to skin it pretty much instantly depending on what the temperature is. And if it's to your point, if it's that ideal -15, you're still going to skin it and then you're just going to leave it hang then at that point because temperature isn't going to make a difference.
Yeah, so I'm still going to skin it and then I'm going to how do I put it? Like, if I'm at my house, I'm going to skin it and quarter it and put it in my garage fridge to age a little bit because, like, that -15 temp is just too cold where you're actually going to start freeze drying that meat. Because it's so dry there that the air can pull moisture out of the meat while it dries it and freezes it, basically. That's a lot of people don't know. Like, freeze drying was invented down in South America on top of the mountains. Like, it is not a modern process. It was done with wind before we have machines that do it now.
Got it.
But if it's like your, 20, 30, 40 degree, nice fall temps or whatever, hang a thing outside from a tree. You're good to go for a couple days right there. I personally like to put it in the fridge where I can control like humidity level and keep it clean with bacteria and stuff, because that's just me from a food safety standpoint. I've also hung them in a tree for 6 days and cutting hunks off every day and eating them that way too. It's, it all depends on what you're willing to do with your own meat.
Sense.
Yeah.
So to kind of like wrap everything up, do you have any big projects coming up or things you're looking forward to? Obviously, hunting season's just right around the corner, but do you have any big cooking trips or anything planned for the year that you're looking forward to?
Got some stuff in the works right now. So cooking wise, I might be in Montana for mule deer season from late October to like mid-November. We'll see if that one happens. That one's up in the air. I should have some other ones coming up. Still waiting to hear dates on those. Like, I'm in a like purgatory kind of area with having dates in hand currently right now. I'm getting booked right now, but no one has given me full dates quite yet. But looking at Montana right now, I'm sure I'll end up probably Missouri or Alabama at some point too. No big plans to go hunt any other states for me right now. I'm gonna keep it local, keep it small for PA, and just see what we can do here. Try to fill the freezer up.
Nice. So I know you said you had the ricochet rub. Is there any other spices or stuff that you're coming up with down the road
Yeah,
that people
so
could look forward to?
yeah, man, I'm working. I have a lot that I'm working on currently. Release date wise, not sure yet. I still got to get my ass behind me and really push Ricochet and get it off the ground. But like, I'm looking at doing a orange jalapeno maple duck glaze. Looking at doing a upland bird seasoning. Looking at doing like another variation for like just a steak rub that isn't like a coffee and chili based one. I have, I think, 6 or 7 different variations that I'm ready to start testing and stuff. Just I need to get Ricochet fully going before I start messing around launching other products.
Yeah, it makes sense. What's
Yeah.
the best way for anybody looking to purchase some of that rub?
Yeah. So right now it's for sale on Point Adventure Foods, their website. You can even get a hold of me too. I think we're building a new batch soon here of Ricochet, so watch for it coming back in stock soon. Other than that, like I'm open for wholesale too. You can reach out to me. I have some bottles with me too. We can get something working there. You can order directly through me or through On Point as well.
On Point, they were the people that were at the PA show, correct?
Yeah, they were at the PA show.
Nice. So the best way to like for anybody to reach you, you're just the Hungry Huntsman on Instagram and on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, the Hungry Huntsman on Instagram and Facebook.
And then the website is just the Hungry Huntsman.
Yeah, the website's just hungryhuntsman.com. It's not up and running yet. We're still building that for all the rub and stuff and capturing content and all that. It's, you know how too many fires or too many irons in the fire goes.
Yep. 100%. Well, cool, man. I think that's a great way to end it. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing some photos when you finally drop a few this year.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to. It's first year with a trad bow, so we're gonna see what we can do.
Do you have any goals set for that? Is it just kind of the first buck that walks by that gets you pumped and you're going to let it rip?
Just kill is always my goal, man. Just and I'm never like I don't hold out for big bucks. Like I have a couple target bucks I'd like to hunt, But like, dude, if a banging 6-point walks in front of me, I will shoot it because to me, meat is meat.
Yep. Perfect, man. Good luck this season.
Thanks, man. You too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Geared Up North. The adventure is far from over. If you're searching for more epic excursions, gear reviews, and insider insights, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Geared Up North. Visit gearedupnorth.com for more information, and don't forget our latest episodes are available wherever you get your podcasts.